Hi, everyone. Welcome to our school safety training. We have to do this annually to re-up our information and to make sure that everyone is aware of our important safety guidelines here at our school, along with our SRP drills and procedures and what we have to do to follow to keep everyone that is in the building safe. I'm John Adams. I'm the assistant principal at the primary, and I'll be doing your training today. Our training today is broken into 3 stages. Stage 1 being general safety expectations for our building. Stage 2, interior and exterior door expectations through our building. And then finally, our standard response protocol drills and procedures. So let's dive into stage 1, which is our general safety guidelines. Supervision and awareness is very important regarding safety. All students should be supervised at all times, no exceptions. If you're having a student that's giving you a hard time, not wanting to transition with you, you need to call down to the office and someone will come support you so that you can take the rest of the kids to wherever you need to be. Getting them at that time when students are going to use the restroom, making sure we know where they're at and that we're checking in to make sure they're coming back. If they are being sent to the office for a discipline referral or to see the nurse or to see one of us, there needs to be a note filled out, or there's got to be some type of correspondence to let us know that they're on their way. We have to be aware of our surroundings, and we have to know what's going on. If we're going to see something and say something, we have to be aware, right? So it's very, very important that we prioritize supervising our students and also being aware of our surroundings and what's going on in the building at all times. This is the biggie, right? All visitors must enter through door A. If they're not an employee, if they don't have access to badge in at a different door, they only come through door A. All visitors, substitutes, volunteers, anybody in those categories, family members, they must come through door A. And this includes our preschool modular folks. Those families, those volunteers, those visitors, they must come through door A. They have to buzz in door A. We can't be having people waiting outside the gate. We can't have cars parked outside their gate. They have to be parked and they have to come in through door A and be ID'd and checked in by our front office ladies so that we're making sure that we're aware of who's in our building at all times. They will wait in the vestibule, visitors, until a staff member comes to allow them into the building. They're going to be required to tell us when they buzz in why they're here and who they're here for. And then the ladies will kind of process through that and get those folks what they need. If it's a person that is coming to volunteer for your classroom, to come read to your classroom, a PTO event parent, obviously they're going to tell us or tell the ladies that's why they're here. We're going to obviously check in with you on that to make sure you're expecting them. So if you've got a person coming to volunteer to read or whatever, you need to let the front office know so they're expecting that person. And then we will obviously call down to say, hey, Miss So-and-so, Johnny's parents here to read to you. Are you ready for them? And when you say it's okay, then one of our office staff members or a staff member who's available will come get that person in the vestibule and walk them down to you. If they're just coming to pick a kid up for an appointment or whatever, they'll wait in the vestibule. We'll notify you. The kid will be sent up with their things, then walk them out to the vestibule. The only exception for them not being in the vestibule would be if they're here to pick up a sick kid. Obviously, we walk that family member to Nurse Brandy, and then they talk with Nurse Brandy in there, and then we help transition them out as needed. But that is the expectation. A big push this year that we didn't do a very good job of last year that we need to improve on is every visitor, volunteer, whomever, they must have a name badge. If they don't, they need to be sent to the office. It's back to that see something, say something. Even if we know that person, even if our kids play baseball with them, even if we tutor that person, that parent's kid, whoever's in the building, if you see them without a name badge, they need to be sent up to Miss Beth and Miss Christie, and they need to get a name badge. We have to know who's in our building and who's not. And really, if they don't have that name badge, then they didn't go through the proper protocols of being signed in here at our building. So please help us with that. And if they give you a hard time, then you can call me and I'll come down and get them. And then, as always, all staff and students are required to participate in all safety drills and procedures. Safety bags, folders should be up to date and be ready for you for every drill and every real safety occurrence. The big piece there is for you all this year is just putting an updated roster in your folder there. Okay. So let's move on to stage 2, which is our interior and exterior door expectations. Obviously, during school hours, we want those classroom doors to remain closed with the magnet in. Carol, our SRO, will be doing walkthroughs throughout the day to assist with keeping doors closed. Sometimes we have people from the sheriff's department that come in to volunteer or whatever. They'll do the same thing, just doing kind of their little march through the building and checking doorways and things of that nature. Please just don't take offense to that if your door's propped open and one of us come by and close it. We're not mad. We're not upset. We're just, we understand you have a lot going on and you've got a bunch of kids. And sometimes in the mornings or when we transition, we prop a door open to make sure all the kids come in. And then the next thing happens and we walk into our room, we forget to close the door. It's not a big deal. We just need to make sure we're working together to make sure all those doors are closed with that magnet in at all times, and just try to be mindful of that. Your door should be in the locked position at all times. The purpose of the magnet is to keep that door open for it to be easy to come in and out. But if there's a safety occurrence, all you have to do is pull that magnet and that door will lock automatically. We've talked about this before. You never want to be in a situation where we call a lockdown and your door's not locked. And now you've got to get your key out. You got to put your key in the door and you got to make sure it locks all the way and finagle it right. That's seconds that are going by that you're not keeping yourself safe or your kids safe. So make sure that door is in the locked position at all times. Check this regularly on the outside handle. Make sure it's locked. I know we have cleaning crews that come in of that nature, and sometimes that magnet gets accidentally pulled, so they unlock the door, but then they don't lock it back. Just make sure you're checking that every morning when you come in. Just touch that handle and make sure it's in the locked position. And then finally, no prop doors, right? No prop doors, whether that be closets, entryways to areas in our building that aren't classrooms. That just gives access to students to go in places they shouldn't be, which it can be unsafe. Make sure there are no prop doors at any time. Obviously, exterior doors, we talked about this already. All visitors must come through door A and be buzzed in. If you see someone that's like, let me in door Q, just point them. So you got to go to door A. You got to go to door A, and let them and have them buzz in that way. Don't and talk to your students about this. We're not letting people in and out of the building. That's a big safety concern. And like we talked about, visitors will have to wait in that vestibule until a staff member comes and gets them, or we bring that kid to them for an appointment. Please make sure you're communicating to your parents this expectation. That'll really help with all the different types of people and the reasons why they're here, understanding those expectations. And our exterior door should remain closed at all times. As you all know, we should not ever prop an exterior door. Anytime an exterior door is propped, that gives access to an intruder that could be a danger to you or the kiddos or any other staff member. Exterior doors are closed at all time. We need to make sure when we leave that the door behind us closes all the way, checking that. If there's a scenario where you need to go out to your car to get something heavy or your hands are going to be full and you think, well, I'll just prop this door, that way it'll make it easy for me to come back in. Please don't do that. Remember, the rule is no prop doors. Ask someone to help you or call the office and say, hey, I need to go get this. Can you come help me? We'll be happy to come down and hold that door for you, or help you lift something that you need. Just please do not prop any doors. Please do not prop any doors. That gives access to outside people in our building without going through the proper channels to make sure they're safe enough to be in our building. And our final stage 3, this is our standard response protocol drills and procedures. Obviously, you guys are very familiar with this poster that's in your classrooms and throughout the building. These are our main SRP drills and procedures, and I'm going to go through those with you real quick as we do annually so that you're up to date on those and are still understanding of what your expectation is. Our first one is the evacuate. During an evacuation, we have to hold these monthly, and I have to send the reports to the superintendent's office. I keep a track of all of our drills, and that's got to be sent to the superintendent's office because they have to report those to the state to show that we're going through our proper safety drill protocol. But an evacuation is any scenario where we need to get everyone out of the building, right? Fire, gas leak, the sprinkler system goes off randomly, we can't turn it off, and we're trying to get people from getting wet, electrical issue, anything that would cause, there's a hazard in the building, we need to get people out because it's not safe as an evacuation scenario. Once that alarm sounds, remember, teachers and staff, we want to check the hallway to make sure that everything's clear. We've talked about those scenarios where we have an intruder situation, they pull the fire alarm to get everyone out to get access to those people. We want to keep our head on a swivel, make sure it's all clear. Then we promptly line our students up and take them out to their primary exit area. If your primary exit is blocked, remember we've done those scenarios where I sit inside the vestibule of a doorway, or I block an area and you have to go to your secondary location. Just make sure you're aware of those exit spots to get your kids out, and then you'll take them to your primary rendezvous or assembly point. Make sure your safety folders are with you with your roster so you can check attendance once you've exited the building. Once you get out there and you've checked your kids and everyone's with you, you're going to hold up your green card right in your safety bag that says that you're okay, everyone's accounted for, we're all safe. If you don't have someone to sign for you, or there's an injury or something you need help with, you're going to hold up the red help. The person that's assigned to your location outside is going to come to you. You're going to say, hey, I'm missing Johnny Smith from my class. I'm going to get on the radio. If I'm your assigned person, I'm going to radio to the team. We're going to find Johnny Smith, right? If you got an injury, kid's bleeding, whatever, and you don't have bandages, I'm going to radio, hey, Nurse Brandy, can you come to this location? This kid needs to have have your assistance. Or if you're injured or whatever, we'll get you assistance. Make sure you have those cue cards to communicate. Students are not to have any books or belongings with them at any time. The reason is because it's an emergency situation. We're trying to evacuate them, right? And so we don't need to spend time on them grabbing their backpacks and pencils and books and things like that. Their job is to get up, get in line with you quietly, and get out, right? Okay. Shelter, that's for our severe weather or earthquake. We're going to drill this twice a year. We usually do it once a semester. I'm a big weather guy, so I monitor the weather every day on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. So Abby and I will be monitoring weather if we think get a whiff of severe weather coming in. Obviously, we'll be in contact with the central office with information about that as well. In the event that we get a tornado warning, we're going to get on the intercom or communicate with you in any way we need to say, hey, you need to get your class to their safety location assigned to you. You will then direct your students to that shelter-in-place location, and you'll remain there until you get the all-clear sign from us. While they're in there in those situations during this type of drill or scenario, students will be directed to their safe location. They will be seated in the safety position, which means their backs are on the wall. They're covering their head, and they're trying to put their heads close into their lap with their knees as possible to protect their bodies. And then when you escort kids out, if we can try to keep our doors closed, remember the rules, no prop doors. That's going to help kind of keep debris within your classrooms, because our safety locations aren't in your classrooms, right? We're trying to keep you away from as many windows and debris and things as possible. The next one's a hold. So the purpose of a hold is for us to call that when we need to clear a hallway. Okay, so we're going to call a hold. What you need to do is make sure you're in your classroom with your kids, your door is closed, lock your door. So go ahead and pull your magnet. You're going to do business as usual, though. You're just going to teach and do your thing and just wait for the all clear. Scenarios for a hold would be if, we're having to do SCM on a student and transport them to a discipline or a safety issue from one place to another. We need to clear the hallway for that. There doesn't need to be an audience for that. There needs to be some confidentiality there. Hallway cleanup, a kid might vomit in the hallway, or there might be a big spill, or we might have somebody dripping blood. The list goes on. We don't need staff members or students walking through that area, because we want to keep you all safe and away from yucky things. So we might call a hold for a cleanup. Medical emergency, we've talked about that non-responsive person, or someone gets injured or whatever. We're going to call a hold to clear the hallway so we can give that person the space they need. And if we have to call in EMS or fire department to give space for them to come in and out, and we don't need kids seeing all that, because what that does is just causes anxiety and nerves that aren't needed. And so that would be a reason. And then, like we said, that's not a big deal in our building, but in older grades, they would call it if there was a big fight or an altercation. So that's hold. Remember, secure is we're just trying to bring everyone inside and secure the building. Nobody in or out of the building. Business as usual inside. You don't need to lock your classroom door. You can transport your kids throughout the hallways for bathroom breaks, specials, lunchtime, all those common reasons to transport kids. But we need to increase our situational awareness, account for all students, and just do our business as usual. We'll call this if there's a violence or criminal activity close in our local area, right outside the building, or we laughed about it. But if there's a rabid or dangerous animal out in the playground or in our area, like a wild dog or a rabbit, or the list goes on. But we don't want you all outside around that, because we don't want there to be a scenario where one of you get bit or a kid gets bit, and that would just be bad news. So that would be, we're trying to bring everyone inside on secure and increasing situational awareness. And then finally, our lockdown, which we're all very familiar with. We call lockdowns when there's a threat in our building or an imminent threat in our area, intruder with a weapon, parental custody disputes. So sometimes we run into that and we get parents that get in fights or whatever. And we just don't want some parent to lose their marbles one day out of emotion, and not do a good job of regulating themselves or using tools or going through the zones, and think that they can run down to your classroom and grab their kid and run with them. So that would be a scenario where we would call lockdown. And we know that the procedure for that, we want to make sure we get all students out of the hallway and into the room if possible. Locks, lights out of sight. We're going to pull that magnet, make sure that door closes, turn our lights out, and then we're going to get to our safe spots with the kids. We're going to maintain silence. We do not open the door for any reason. In a real scenario, you would wait until law enforcement and then administration or central office staff, everything's contained, and we're coming door to door. We make an announcement, and we come door to door and unlock your doors with a physical key. And then obviously we pray that you never have to experience this, but in a situation where we have a real one and an intruder gets into your classroom, prepare to evade and defend yourself and the kids. Okay. And there's two more here. This doesn't have to do with SRP, but it just supports some of our SRP drills that we have. So we've been doing reentry drills, and you guys do a phenomenal job at this, but we start these in August and we rep them once a month. But basically it's just to get our kids and their muscle memory and their understanding of used to, like, okay, my teacher has a signal. When that signal goes off, whether that be blowing the whistle twice, I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I'm going to go line up. Because we do this for if there's a secure or a lockdown call and you're outside for recess or out in the courtyard, you have a quick way to get the kids inside to a safe space, right? We want to count for all students, and then we're going to direct them to the nearest entrance away from a threat. And what I mean by that is, like, if you're out on the playground and there's a rabid animal out by the modular, by the preschool, you're probably not going to walk them through door O, right? You're going to take the kids and walk them through the back of the building near the courtyard entry doors that way in your hallway. So it just increase situational awareness, get the kids inside. Obviously with re-entry drills, when we drill and we don't actually bring the kids inside, right? We talk to them about that. We just get them to line up. We count from everybody. We talk to them about why we do it, and then we let them continue recess. And then finally, you all, non-responsive adult and child. I briefly discussed this during a hold, right, when we want to clear a hallway. But if we've done this tabletop scenario, if you see someone lying on the ground, you're going to check to see if they're okay. If they're not responsive, you're going to get someone to radio or call administration. We're going to run down to help you. We're going to put the building on hold. And then we're going to go through that CPR AED protocol, right? You call 911, you go get the AED, and we're going to make sure that we're getting that person the quickest help that we can provide them. And then we're going to go through that CPR protocol until that medical team arrives, all right? Thank you for spending the time to do your annual safety training. This is important. It's state regulated. We have to do it. It's safety first in our building, right? We got to make sure that we can continue to have our fun SCP loving culture by keeping everyone safe and aware, right? And so make sure when you're completed with this training that you click the I completed button on the Indiana Learning Lab website that you're receiving this on. Also, there will be a sign out sheet after I receive that you've completed that you have to give me your signature. I have to keep that on file that you received that training. Obviously, as you all know, open door policy, I'll talk to you about anything. We've had a lot of good safety dialogue the last couple of years I've been here. If you have any questions about anything, please don't hesitate to come talk to me. I would love to brainstorm with you on things that come up. Sometimes things I don't think about that have come up in the past, and that's really helped us with different scenarios. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you all again for being intentional with this training. And like I said, if you need anything, let me know.